Hey, I'm Kathy Sanderson. I am an inner child healer and spiritual therapist. And today I want to talk to you about how to get the power back into your life. To finally start feeling like you have some control over your life. And until you have that control back, you don't realise how little control you felt you had. Because you felt like this for so long. You felt like this since you were a child. You've not felt like you have the ability to speak out and say what you actually want. You've had to spend all of your lifetime thinking about how other people feel and how your actions will make people sad or make people angry, or those types of reactions. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to think about how your actions will affect others, and obviously that's what I teach my children. But when you're thinking constantly about how your actions are going to affect other people and you're unable to do what you want to do because you are so worried about how people are going to view you or see you or what they're going to think about you, so much so that at that point in time, the only thing you're thinking about is not what your needs are, but what other people's needs are. When it gets to that stage, you need to suddenly think, I'm letting other people control my life. And when we let other people control our life, we lose that control. So where does it come from? Well, it comes from childhood, obviously, because as a child, we didn't feel like we could actually say what we wanted, or when we said what we wanted to do or how we felt about somebody or something, we were dismissed. Our feelings, our thoughts, our intuition was cancelled out. You may have had abuse as a child and you may have told your parents, or you may have told an adult, and they didn't believe you. Whether this was bullying from children at school, whether this was how your siblings were treating you, or whether this was an adult who was interfering with you or hurting you. So often when we told our parents about these situations, we were told, children fight. Children, that's what children do. Oh, you just have to be stronger. I mean, there is the still about the thought, kick them harder. What's that teach a child? That teaches a child that if you get angry, you can retaliate with violence, which again is why I do not physically harm my children. I do not punish them in that kind of way. I try to use positive reinforcement. Sometimes it goes wrong, but I do not physically harm my children. Because what am I teaching them? That they do something wrong and I can hurt them, something that I don't think is right, so I can hurt them. That's okay, because then what do they learn? They learn that it's okay to hurt somebody if that person does something that they don't like. But they also learn, and what I realised was, why did I accept a partner, an ex-partner, hurting me? Why did I accept that they could harm me? And it got me thinking, well, what's the difference? When I was a child, if I did something wrong, I was hit. What's the difference between an adult hitting an adult because they believe that someone's done something wrong, and you hitting a child? So we don't do it. And when you are able to express yourself and say those things that you needed to say as a child, you gain back your power. It's like it's like flicking a switch. You start this inner child journey feeling that you're never good enough. Doesn't matter what you do. And whether you have the best of intentions to do things, it always goes wrong. People always don't understand you, misinterpret what you're going to do. The thing which you longed to do never turns out right. Well, it's not going to, is it? Because you were never shown as a child that you were good enough. So that little child, that little girl or that little boy is only used to not feeling good enough. And our mind is set up to protect us. It's set up so that it keeps us safe. And everything that we experienced as a child is what we believe is true. Even if, as we've grown up, we've been in other homes and we've seen that that isn't how things are done. And you've watched how other people act and you thought, oh, it won't click because your foundations were built in your childhood and what you experienced. So when you try and change things, your mind's there going, not used to this feeling. What's this feeling? This feeling doesn't feel right. And even though it's what you're striving for, the time, you're striving to feel empowered, that you are good enough. You go on all of these empowerment workshops and things and you come home and you feel great, and then you just slip down because your little inner child isn't feeling it. So when you start to feel good, feel that you're good enough, your mind goes, no, we need to go back to where we used to being. So it starts to attract the energy again of not being good enough, because it wants to take you back to what is right. And then we sink back down to not being good enough. It's like a comfort zone. It's not very comfortable at all, is it? But it's how we grew up, how we are used to being. And it's how our body feels comfortable, which is why it is so hard to shift. And even when you have inner child healing, it's the practice of it every day, that continual showing up for your inner child. It's that continual being aware of how you used to feel and how you can feel and how you are going to feel, and making that shift. And it is a hard shift because it's a habit. And it's your brain, it's your mind saying that you need to go back that. So it's retraining your brain. So when you feel like a failure all the time, then that's what you're used to feeling. So that's what you're going to attract into your life. I'm a spiritual therapist. I'm going to talk about the law of attraction. I'm going to talk about universal laws because they do apply. If you truly believe that you are a failure, it doesn't matter how many manifesting classes that you do. You will only manifest into your life what you truly feel you deserve. Everybody is a great manifester. If they weren't, there wouldn't be anything around them. We create our own reality. If your reality is shit, it's because that's what you believe you deserve. So when you flip that, when you start going back and giving your inner child attention, when you heal those situations that were making them feel that they weren't good enough, that they were a failure, that they feel insecure, that they're never safe. When you start to heal those things and they realize that they are safe, that they do matter, that they are good enough, then that's what you're going to start to truly believe you are. And the energies, the universe will send you situations that reflect that energy that you give out, that you are good enough. And sometimes it might send you a test because you're wavering. Good enough, not good enough, good enough. So it's going to send you a test. Which way are you going to choose to be? And you have to be aware of your actions. The beauty with healing is it makes us aware of what we're doing. Until we start healing, we are just walking around asleep, just doing the motions and not being aware of the effect that they have on us. Yes, we're aware that we don't feel good, that life feels bad, but we're not aware why. When we finally realise why, we can change everything. And that's the power of inner child healing. We've got the key to go back and change everything. Because here's something more, Woo. Time does not exist. Only exists on this planet to keep us sad and miserable. So when you go back and you heal your past, it immediately influences you now, because you've had somebody show up and show you that you were worth it, spend time with you, give you what you needed. And that's going to transpire into now, because you will know how it feels. You'll know how it feels to be happy. You'll know how it feels to be supported. That's why it's so good. That's why it's so powerful. Now, repeat your interest. My workshop, Inner Child Healing, Reconnection and Healing Workshop, live online, limited spaces so that you get individual attention. You'll learn all about why your inner child feels like it does, and how this then reflects into your life now, and how to change it. You'll learn inner child healing techniques that you can do at home so that you can continue this process all the time. And you'll also have group healings so that you then can start to feel good enough. And we only need to start to feel it so that we can pull more and more and more into our life. You want to know more about the workshop? Look at the link in the comments. You want to see how you can work with me? Book a free call. We can look at the ways that we can work together so that you stop feeling that no matter what you are doing, it's never good enough. And you start to feel confident in whatever you decide to do, knowing that it's right. You start to feel worthy of whatever is around, worthy of spending time on yourself, worthy of treating yourself kindly. And you know that you can do whatever it is that you want to do.